Hey Elad, it's amazing to
Hey,
be
Eduardo.
finally here with you. How are you, man?
Uh, I'm very good, very good. Pleasure to be here with you. So really appreciate it and looking forward to a great conversation.
Yeah, for sure. To be honest, I've heard so many stories about you, man, and you are such a legend. But there is one. Before starting to talk about all these things about AI, Gen AI, security, I've heard you are a cowboy, right? But I'm quite surprised because, as far as I know, you are based in Tel Aviv, right? That's not Texas.
Correct?
So tell me a bit more about it, man.
So definitely. So when we started Lasso, before it was Lasso, we knew that we were going to address, generative AI, and we started thinking about, themes and what is the story behind it. And we said, okay, generative AI is the new Wild West. And you need a new sheriff in town to actually come and lasso the problems, the bad guys, and then it connected. So we said, okay, let's play with it a bit, and then we also really understood that marketing and storytelling is a big part of startup building. It's not just technology. And right now, I'm happy to say that it's a memorable, recognized brand. Everyone relates to it, and people are actually think that we're from Texas. So this is how it started, and right now we're really into this.
That's nice, man. So, and
Yeah.
apart from that, are you riding or not really? It's just the
Uh,
cowboy hat.
No, not really. It's the cowboy outfit, but maybe we'll get into that soon. So I
It's never
participated
late.
recently in a few rodeos, never late. So maybe I'll do some bull riding. I don't know. So, but it is definitely it sticks, and I'm getting not. It's not just a character, but it also becoming a part of me.
I like the brand, to be honest. I'm a huge fan of Lasso, and I really like the brand. But
Thank
yeah,
you.
let's go into it. I spent same like you guys. I spent 24/7 talking about AI, what's going on in the market, if there is too much hype. But you are really doing like very cool stuff. I mean, like you are working on a space that is so much needed for scaling AI and so on. But I would like to know from you, because you are meeting customers all the time. So why do you think there is so much excitement around AI these days? I mean, like this has been for such a long time already. Why now?
So I think that it really it started, with ChatGPT in 2022, that it got into everyone's lives. It is accelerating what people can do. It improves their productivity, and suddenly it became so simple for everyone to use it. And it's my parents, it's my kids, it's everyone is using it. So it's not a technology that does not touch that touches just a few people. It touches really everyone, and it's making great changes in the world. It's a new wave, and we can talk for hours about it, but it touches a lot of different pieces in the organization. It's improving the ability of the organization to run fast and differentiate and be really really innovative at the cutting edge of technology, and it keeps on growing and changing. It's not something that started and it is as is. It keeps on improving almost on a daily basis, which is it's fascinating. It's kind of like it's giving us presents every day. And that is even before we're talking about security, but just using it. And me as an end user, I'm fascinated about what I can do. It makes me, a better capable person to do, my daily jobs. So, and this, it's the beginning of the revolution. How do you see it? What makes you excited about it?
Wow, I mean, like, same here. Like, I started thinking like this was going to be something revolutionary. The same day I realized, like, my mother was asking me about it. I mean, like, they didn't have any idea what I was doing for living. And one day was asking me, like, hey, what is ChatGPT? Can I use it for, like, cooking and so on? So it was like, hey, maybe this is something that, like, it's going to change the world. But you have said something that, like, I also see almost every day, right? You were talking about, hey, my kids, like everyone is using it for personal purposes and so on. But what about the enterprise? Because AI, it has been like a bit like a difference, like since the rise of ChatGPT. We used to start by the companies and then the people, But right now it's the other way around. It's like the iPhone moment, right? Like everyone was using the iPhone and they wanted to bring it to the company environment, right? So what about the enterprise? Are really getting value from this?
So yes, and it just keeps on growing, and it is phases, and the market is evolving. So at the beginning, it was let our employees use ChatGPT, Claude, and others in finance, in marketing, in recruitment, and let's just let them be a better version of them. But we're seeing more and more organizations that are getting Gen AI models into their applications, whether it is to provide something for the employees, to improve internal processes, or to provide a better experience and advantages for their end customers. And this is something you're starting to see. It started with chatbots, but really a lot of operations right now that you can have at the palm of your hand. And it's not just your banking application. It's starting to get into cars, and it's starting to get into all sorts of other devices that we're using. And now recently, and again, it's just the beginning. It's agents that are getting in, and they're
We
not
are going to
just
talk about it. We are going to talk about it.
yes, but I'm
Wait.
going to we're going to talk a lot about it. But it gives us a lot more capabilities to take actions on our behalf, and it's not just getting data, but it's actually let's send an agent and do something for us, and it will do it, and we don't know how. Magic happens.
It's amazing.
So it's accelerating everything. And I'll just say that if in the past we could dream of these things, and right now it is reality, and we're starting to see benefits that we could have never have envisioned, years ago. And we can talk about this to more extent. It's kind of like the movies that we saw in the 80s and the 90s, and it's now becoming reality. And
Yeah,
maybe I'll give a few more analogies
I
about
have
this
the same
later.
feeling, man. I'm watching movies. I'm from the 80s, right? So I remember, like all the movies talking about the near future, and it's like, hey, it's finally here. It's happening right
Yeah.
now. But like sometimes the problem we have as a society is like we are not surprised anymore about like all these advancements, right? And we used to say like, hey, but yeah, this is not enough intelligent. Okay, he's failing to do this or that. But I think it's amazing what we are living. And the $1 million question: who are the folks that they are being like super successful by using Gen AI? I mean, like everyone asks me the same thing, like, hey, what do I need to do, like to be successful, to really get value? So is there any industry, any specific vertical, any specific team that they are really, getting the extra mile of value from AI?
So I think it's not too distinctive yet because we see it really across the board. And and I'll say, we started with that as well. Everyone is focusing on finance and healthcare and the regulated, environments. But we are seeing, a lot of benefits that, governments are getting from it, and defense
Really?
agencies. Yes, government, especially, the United States government is providing a lot of services to the citizens that are based on Gen AI, and it's just evolving. And you're seeing it, of course, in defense. You're seeing it in retail. And another thing that I'm going to talk about is actually later today in a closed group, in energy and utilities. And a lot of it's things that you thought this is a traditional industry. Those are refineries. It's oil and gas. What innovation is happening there? And I was amazed to see in OT the amazing things that they're doing and getting value from it. And really, you see organizations understanding that if they will not innovate in this world, they will die. And the speed
They are dead. I agree, man.
the,
I agree.
the speed to get things, it took them, I don't know, 20, 30, 60 years to build something. Suddenly a new kid on the block, and now within 5 years they're able to catch all of that gap. So it is really all over the place. And for us it's a blessing and also a challenge. Where to
Yeah.
focus, who is adopting it more, where can I get more value? And do you see different things? Do
I
you
mean,
get
like,
with the people you talk with?
I was going to, like, tell the same thing because something that I've seen, like, it's completely different to a couple of years ago. I'm not talking about, like 5 or 10 years ago. I remember 2 to 3 years ago talking to companies like, hey, do you want to use AI? And they were struggling to identify use cases. And they were talking about, like typical stuff like, fraud detection, customer segmentation, customer churn. But it was like A, B, and C. I mean, like they were not like so many things. So they were struggling to identify use cases. And right now it's different. Right now they come to you and they say like, hey, I have this list of 20 different use cases. Tell me how to implement. So it
Exactly.
can change dramatically the landscape.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that, and I can tell you some organizations, an organization that I had a call with just a few days ago, and it is around security. But when I was talking to the security team, they said we're going to bring some BISOs, business information security officers, to the call and talk about the use cases. And I said, okay, let's bring them on board. I don't know how many, 4 or 5 people. 84 people got on the call. 84 different people from
Amazing.
different units with different use cases, each one with their own. And it was mind-blowing, really. There's so many great things that they're doing. And I'm like, listen, it's really amazing. And for me, and we'll also talk about this, it's a different story, each one, different security concerns. The use cases are different. So it's not standard, but it's massive opportunities. Really amazing to see.
That's why I'm super optimistic, because I mean, like the people, they have understand the real value of it, right? So they are very eager to implement this to get value from it. And I think that's like the very early days today, and everything is going to change. And talking about today, you were starting to talk about agents, agentic AI. Why agents right now? Which is the main difference to, we used to have like ChatGPT, Claude, all these things. What is the difference with agents? What they are going to bring new to us?
So I'll try to simplify it a bit. I'll say 2 things. One, and you mentioned it briefly, we were talking about the models doing things that don't make sense and maybe spitting out mistakes. And I think that we're getting close to the situation that they're talking about. AI will be like the smartest person in a specific topic, but now it's going to be the smartest person in all topics. And it's not, you're comparing it to a college graduate. And if you're comparing it to IQ levels, we're soon going to be in a situation that the AI will not have, 140, 160, even 180 IQ. It'll have 400 IQ. So it'll start reasoning with things that we cannot even comprehend. And
but we're still complaining because they don't know how to figure out how many G's they have in a strawberry or how many B's. But the reality is like they are much more intelligent than us.
Exactly. And if we'll add to that another important parameter, up until recently, we were mostly talking about us getting data from the models, getting data from GenAI. And soon agents are going not just to get information back, but are also going to take, as I mentioned before, actions on our behalf. And this is going to be the real power, because suddenly, instead of having 5 people that could help you with something, you're going to have 1 million agents that can interact between themselves until they complete the task without you even knowing what is happening. And that is really mind-blowing. So it's more than just, go and make some shopping for me online. It's I'm giving you a problem, understand what is the problem, what is the best way to solve it, and just get it done. And this is where agents are going to really make a huge difference. And I want to talk later on about, about a topic which maybe for this call or not, is it going to make, humans redundant, and what do we need to learn? And this is something I'm talking with my kids a lot. Should we let them use ChatGPT? Should we not? And things like that. But that is why agents right now, and running tasks, this is the next big thing that's happening right now.
I agree with you, right? Since sometimes, with this going to lead us to have a lot of philosophical discussions around the future, what is going to happen with us. I'm not sure about me, but I mean, like my kids in the future, I know it's going to be like a completely different story. I don't know what's going on with them. Absolutely. It's amazing. And, it's funny because the other day, like everyone is talking about it, and I want to make you this question to you. Do you believe about this one single person $1 billion company? Do you think it's possible?
In Gen AI or in security?
In general, in general.
Uh, yes, definitely. I think that this market will bring huge opportunities across the board. This what got me excited. We didn't talk much about, my history, but I've already built a few companies, and luckily I was successful. But really, I said there is a chance here to build the next big thing, to be part of the big revolution. Is going to bring so much value to humanity with the risks that it brings. So definitely, we're going to see the $1 billion companies that are pure AI companies, including we'll see cybersecurity companies that are pure AI built. So definitely, yes, there are dangers with it. There are risks. We need to stay in some control. But I think that the opportunity here is massive, and this really excites me. And I'm quite sure, and keeping track of what you're doing, I'm without asking you, you can see the excitement that you have in this space as well.
Well, I mean, like, same for me. And about the risk, I mean, like, this is part of the human history, right? I mean, like, every new discovery is going to bring risk, and it depends on us how to use it, right? So we can use it for the good, we can use it for the
Yeah,
bad. But I mean, like, I think, like, we cannot stop the progress. It's part of humanity. I mean, like, we cannot live like, like we used to live like 3, 4, 10,000 years ago. So, I mean, like, this is going to happen. And, like, in terms of risk, everyone is talking right now about MCP, Model Context
mhm,
Protocol. And it's
yeah,
funny, and I want to tell you why. It's funny because I remember it was like, I think it was October last year. I was in Cyprus by that time when Anthropic released Model Context Protocol. And I remember, like reading all the paper, all the information, and like nobody talk about it because they have released, I think it was Sonnet 3.5. It was amazing. And yeah, Model Context
yeah.
Protocol, it was not like, like, not so sexy, but it seems like right now, since a couple of months ago, everyone is talking about it. And why right now? Why today? And why do you think like MCP is something that like it's going to change the way that we are building agents today?
So I think first of all, it's a point in time, and that is the case right now. But it might change. So it is hot today. It might not be tomorrow because there is A to A, agent to agent. So there are different things. Uh, so I think it was an evolution. But usually when it takes years to have the evolution, it took a few months, and people started playing with it, and then there was a PR that caught. I really can't explain it, but this is one of the things that I'm also stating. There's a lot that we don't know, and we cannot explain everything, but we have to run with the market. And you saw the spark, the boom, and that relates to agents, the ability to suddenly control and interconnect with agents and activate them in a very, very simple way. Suddenly it's sparked, and we're seeing those waves, and it's maturity, but it's a really fast-paced maturity. So we are saying let's embrace, and this is why we released on our own MCP gateway a few months ago when we saw that this is really hot, and we said maybe it will work, maybe not, but we have to
You have to
be
be
with the
there.
trend. We have to be there. Same as with anything else. If it will work, we'll continue. If not, we'll move to the other thing. And again, I'll relate to this again. Anyone in this market has to embrace the unknown. At every point in
I
time,
like
there
that
is
quote. I
more.
like that
There
quote.
is so there are things that we don't know, and I said it from day one in the culture of Lasso, in the technology that we're building. We know that there's new things that we need to address every day, and we need to adapt, and we need to run at paces that we have never run before. Otherwise, it will not work. And anyone that wants to be part of this market has to embrace this mentality because you cannot control it. So
Yeah, I'm
yeah,
talking to founders almost every day, right? And around the world, it's not only Europe; it's in the US, it's there in Israel, it's everywhere. I was there in Dubai actually last week, and like so many people doing amazing things. And what I used to say, like, hey, it's not anymore about like building things, or even about, being super quick building things. It's also about being there, the first one. I mean, like, if you are there in the first position, you have like a huge advantage. And we have seen this with OpenAI in the past already. So it's like, hey, maybe, this is going to happen, maybe this is not going to happen, but you need to be there. And probably like model context protocol is one of them. And I wanted to ask you something about it, right? Because from my point of view, I think, MCP has make the process of, agents or LLMs, like connecting to tools like much easier, because they have standardized the way that, they call to different tools. But there are also many threads behind the scenes, right? So, definitely. I mean, like, hey, I can just make a call to this MCP server, and I can do, I don't know, I can request information, poisoning. So what are you doing in that space? Just, some insights, because people is just talking about NCP is great, but they are not seeing the risk of NCP. And probably you are like in a completely different situation here.
So there are many risks, and I'll touch a few of them. The first one is that you're working with an MCP, but how do you know that this one is trusted? How do you know that it's not going to do things that you did not expect? How do you make sure that it is in line, that it's not making mistakes? How can you know that it's not exploitable? So if someone would, and a lot of people are talking about prompt injections and jailbreak, how do you make sure that people cannot manipulate it? And because, and I touched upon this before, because it can also make actions, like, if an MCP can control your application and not just read records, but also edit records or delete records and things like that, how can you make sure of that? And that's a single MCP. Now, consider an organization that suddenly there are dozens, hundreds, thousands of MCPs all over the place. How can you know what people are using? How can you control it from a centralized place? From a security standpoint, you have a policy. How can you make sure that it's enforced on all of these, that people are not sharing sensitive information, that it's not exploitable, that you're only using vetted MCPs? So you need to have the centralized place for that. And especially behind the scenes, an MCP is running all sorts of tools. Which tools?
Correct.
Are certified tools, non-certified tools, and in the past, and I'm taking it to a different direction. So my previous company was around, anti-phishing, brand protection, impersonations. I'm going to use an MCP that is connecting to, let's take a Salesforce. But what if someone is putting an MCP which is impersonating it and could be malicious, and it says Salesforce MCP certified? How can I trust it? And things like that. So there are all sorts of things, and people, they might think of one case. And this is why really the security experts and companies like us are born, in order to provide a solution. And the goal is to allow you to adopt it. And this is what I'm saying all the time. I'm not in it to block. I'm here to help you adopt MCPs, agents, whatever the market will bring at us. We have to embrace it, but to do it in a safe and secure way. And this is on us, on Lasso and companies like us.
Yeah, something that I really love about you guys, because the problem with AI, the problem is like the customers, they are concerned because they don't have 100% control over, how the model or how the agent is going to react. And because at the same time, there is a lot of excitement about, new models, new technologies, new innovations, but sometimes it seems like the security part is not like super attractive, right? So yeah, let's, be close to, hey, I'm going to generate these Ghibli images, but then I'm not even considering like, hey, I'm exposing my data to these providers, right? So it seems like the security part is not important, but actually I would say probably right now it's the most important topic when implementing AI, because even at least in Europe, they need to make sure that they're going to be compliant, they are going to be reliable. So, I mean, like companies like you guys, you are covering the other, like when we say like, the model maybe is going to be, reliable in 90% of the cases or 85% of the cases. I think you are, achieving until the 99%. So you need to ensure that like everything is going to be secure, everything is going to be reliable, so it can be used at the scale, because otherwise you are going to be in trouble. And we have seen so many examples. I think it was like a very common this example of like I think it was Chevrolet and Ford, or Ford and Chevrolet, that they were asking about the model, like, hey, can you recommend me a car? And they were asking to Chevrolet chatbot, and Chevrolet chatbot was saying like, hey, you have to buy a Ford. That's a big problem for the customer.
Definitely. And that's a great concern, a big concern. And I'll add more to that, because that takes a different angle, and I'll also ask you about that before I reply. The models right now were built to satisfy a need, and there's an arms race, and we see the models want to provide more functionality. But we had a great event a few months ago. Suddenly, DeepSeek emerged. And if OpenAI and Anthropic and others thought that they're leading, suddenly DeepSeek came and said, we have better models and we're running faster. And the arms race of the AI companies, and now we can talk about, geopolitical things. People are running to add more capabilities, faster, cheaper. What do you think, or what do you see about the goal of the model providers in terms of security, privacy versus functionality? For me, it seems like they are investing something, but they need to justify why they're being paid so much money. So they have to be better. They have to be faster. And it's kind of like a slippery slope, because then it's kind of like you're in a slope and you don't have brakes, and someone is chasing you. What are you going to do?
I fully agree with you, because something that I've seen is like when you see the benchmark, it's everything about, okay, you are super intelligent in coding, in reasoning, and you have all benchmark, right? But in terms of safety, it seems like, hey, this is like the ugly duck. Like nobody's talking too much, because like as long as the model is capable to do many stuff, it's okay, right? But as you said, like right now you have Gemini, you have GPT, but then DeepSeek comes into the table. And if I'm a customer and I can say like, okay, I can run this model by, I don't know, 10 times cheaper than the other one, I'm going to run it. But I want to make it like, like it's going to be reliable within my ecosystem. So I need to ensure that I'm putting, like all the rules in place to make sure if my people is going to use it, it's going to be, like compliance with my internal policies, which kind of data I'm going to put there. And, like, sometimes I had that feeling like even model providers, they're not covering that space. And then I see companies like you that you are doing like an amazing work there, because you are covering all the spectrum that is right now, like completely empty. So you are actually making customers possible and available to use these services at the scale.
Yes, definitely. And this is our goal. And we're working with some of the model providers and the hyperscalers. And while they have some internal capabilities around security and safety, my assumption is that it is not their main business. And while they're doing that, they're doing a good job, but not a good enough job. And I'll give you an example from an engagement that we have with a customer right now. Is that they tested one of the models without bad mouthing anyone, and they saw that the model can address 60% of the toxic content or some of the manipulations. And we said, okay, but that's not a good number. And when they added our layer, they got to 99.998% of coverage. And that's what we're saying. We want to enable the adoption of these models. We want to put another layer of security and safety. And this is our business. Our business is not making sure that the model is smart, that the model is right, that the model knows what to do. This is the model provider or the application provider's job. Our job is to secure it, make it safe, and make people sleep calm at night when they're using these technologies. This is on us.
That's super important. So let's talk a bit more about that, right? Because I mean, like, I remember like a few years back working, like on software development, and something that is very common is like at the end that you are, like building an application, you need to do all the penetration testing, right? Like to ensure, like the application is going to be safe and so on. But not so many people understand the concept of, like a penetration testing on LLMs, right? So
Yes.
you need to explain in a very easy way so everyone is going to understand why this is super important, what you are doing right now, and why if we have customers watching this, like, hey, you need to call to these cowboys because they are going to make you sleep much better tomorrow.
I'll give the basics of it. And let's take model X
Okay.
without the X, and if you're using it and we are using it and we're running penetration testing, standard penetration testing on them, it means almost nothing. Why? Because you will connect that model to your data, and I will connect it to my data. And if you want a certain behavior, you will define your system prompt, and I will define mine. And so we have a different posture by definition. More than that, those are getting changed all the time. This is what I said. It can change on an hourly basis, a daily basis. So you'll change the data a bit. You'll do tweaks in the system prompt. Maybe you'll change to a different model. So your entire posture is different. So you need to run it again and again and again. And one of the things that we've understood is that standard penetration testing in this world is not enough because those models becomes smarter and they evolve and they adapt. So we need to adapt on our way. So we need a dynamic approach, which is also powered by agent technology. So we are using agents on our own to run penetration testing and evolve. So we're telling our agents, go and attack this setup in that specific vector and do it as many times as you can. So we're trying, for example, privacy. We're trying to fail your setup on the privacy vector, and we're sending the agents to attack it. And then they're giving us a score, but that is on one vector. We're doing it on many, many vectors like toxicity and prompt injection and data leak and sexual content and others. And on each one, we're firing the agents to perform a specific task. And then we're getting a model scorecard, our scorecard, which basically says where you're vulnerable, but you need to run it again and again. And briefly, I'll mention where the interesting part is that we're not just telling you where it's wrong, we can also provide you the defenses because we're combining, red teaming and blue teaming. And because we know where the model is vulnerable, we can also create the defenses and the automated defense for it. And this is just, in lame terms. But I think that highlights why it takes a different approach. Everything is so dynamic that you need a counter dynamic approach in order to test it.
And one question, because as you were saying before, model providers are releasing models every single day. So it seems like if Anthropic released last week Claude 4, at the same moment that they are releasing the new model, you need to be there working to understand the vulnerabilities and everything, because the customers, they're going to use it one day later. So you need to be super proactive on this, right?
Definitely. So, and for us, we built the framework in a way that we don't really care what is the underlying model, as long as we can get access to it. The same framework can be released on that, and we keep on improving it when we're changing the data sets and we're adding more vectors. And because this is powered by agent technology, by the way, we've also, because this is so unique, we've patented it. So
really,
yes, we have. So because the ability to improve all the time and to adapt is really, as I mentioned, it relates to what I said before. There's always things that we don't know. So there's a new model which is coming. There are new defenses for it. We need to adapt all the time. So within our core, the dynamic version, the ability to adapt at any single point in time is key. And we're strongly relying on LLM technology on our own, because again, we cannot be in a situation that will say, okay, we'll develop something for you and we'll bring you it next quarter, like standard software development. No, we need to react in days, sometimes in hours. And this is why the framework is so agile and so adaptive that we can react in real time for it.
Wow, it's amazing. So I need to ask you this, because it's something that comes to my mind every day, right? So even many of these founders from Anthropic, OpenAI, they used to say hey, we are not even able to understand how the LLMs they are behaving. we cannot understand why they are coming up with this specific answer or this specific approach. So, but you need to understand it in some manner, because you are building these approaches to make sure that it's going to be reliable and so on. So do you think at some point of time we are going to be in a position where we will be able to understand and to explain perfectly the decisions of these models, or you still think that we are not going to be there anytime soon?
So I think, and that is, a theoretical discussion, but I think that we will not. And it relates to what I mentioned before, because it relates to maturity levels. And this is, something that one of my board members said in one of the tech talks. He's a former cyber entrepreneur. He was in the government, so he's a great person. And let's give the analogy. So let's take a baby that is 1 year old, and let's try to teach them quantum physics. There is no way that we can teach that baby, no matter how much time we sit. It's a matter of, your cognitive ability to grasp it. So you need to be at a certain age, and you need to have a certain, IQ level. So if I mentioned, the smartest people right now, they have IQ of 160, 160-ish. What happens when the model will have an IQ of 400? We will not be able to understand, or even to begin to understand in a cognitive matter what happens. So humans will not be able to understand it. So the models will get their own reasoning. We will not have the tools to understand it. And this is why I think that at some point in time, we will lose all ability to understand it. So what I'm saying, we need to be able to put the controls on what they're doing. And we need to understand what they're getting and what they're doing. And does that make sense to us? We cannot understand. So if the model wants to do a specific action and we cannot understand why it wants to make that action, we need to say, is that action reasonable for us? And this is something that we can comprehend. And should we allow the model to take that action? This is where we are focusing right now, on the inputs and outputs and actions, because the reasoning inside, I think we will lose touch with reality. Actually,
it's the first time that I heard an analogy like this. I'm probably it's the best explanation that I've heard so far, because it's super simple, and I agree with you. At some point of time, we need to assume that we are not going to be able even to understand, and that's fine. It's not a problem. But as you said, okay, it doesn't mean because we don't understand that we are not doing anything. We will have to say okay, this is going to be allowed or not. Do we want to take this approach or the other? And this is the layer that you are including in between, where you're going to make it safer and so on. And about safety, risks, level of maturities, I'm not going to enter into your personal opinion about what is better or what is not. I won't put you on the spot, to be honest. But there is a lot of regulation right now in the market.
Yes.
We have from one side the European Union with the AI Act. We have other countries like Singapore that is being super active and super innovative in terms of regulation. We also have the US that is more about, hey, I'm going to give you some freedom so you can experiment, you can implement. I'm not saying one approach is better than the other, but what's your take here? I mean, are you seeing, for example, in Europe, they are a bit behind because of the regulation, and then in the US, they are doing more stuff? And how you guys can make sure that even based on the regulation, you are going to help customers to move faster, right? Because at the end, it's about, how to move faster and faster.
So I think that currently, I don't think that there's anyone behind. I think that there are different approaches. And again, I won't get into what's right or not. I think that in Europe, they definitely are trying to understand what is the regulation, when is it going to enforce, what do we need to do in order to comply with the regulation. They need to run faster than before. It took GDPR a certain time. Right now, it's running faster. So
GDPR took a decade almost.
I know, but this one will be faster. But I think that we are taking, two missions with that. One is to help to comply with whatever regulation is, and tell our customers, listen, if you will do that, you will comply with the regulation. These are the tools that we provide you. These are the framework. These are the audits that you can provide. So we are trying to comply or help the customers comply with that. And second, and this is also important, we are working with the regulators on what we see from the market, what we learn, bringing our expertise to the table and trying to educate them. Some of them, they know very well regulation, but they don't know very well what is AI, what it can do, what are the security concerns. Definitely not at the level that we live and breathe it. So
Correct.
our goal is to help them and give them our thesis and try to impact it, because if the regulation will suffocate innovation, that's wrong. So I'm not telling them don't put any regulation on top of that, but take this into consideration and know what you can or cannot do. Now you are the smart people in the room around that. I'll give you my tools from my toolbox, so you will get a better decision, whatever that is. And this is their job, not my job. So working closely with the ecosystem, working closely with the regulators, trying to bridge the gap as much as we can. And it is different in the EU. It's different, as you said, in Singapore. It's different in the US. We're giving different flavors with that, and we're working in coalitions. So we're working with other AI companies in order to do that, and we're also applying lobbyists for that. So definitely trying to give that color, which is very, very important.
But I think the key is, as you said, right? I mean, like, if we work in this aspect in silos, we are not going to make any progress. I think it's super important. Like, companies like you are super close to the regulators, because no one better than you guys are going to understand the vulnerabilities of these systems, which are the risks, where are the threats. So, I mean, like, if they want to build something on top of that, they need to be in touch with you guys, because you are going to be, you know, the trusted voice there to see, like, hey, you need to do like A, B, and C. And I think that's the way we need to follow, because in some cases, you know, like, and this is something what I'm seeing in Europe many times, right? I mean, like, customers, they're aware about the benefits of AI, right? But even because they're a bit afraid or they're a bit concerned about moving too fast, they're just waiting to see, like, okay, until they say anything, I just need to take one step back and see what's going on there. And probably in the US is a bit different, because they are saying, like, okay, let's build the stuff. We are going to commit some mistakes, that's right, but we will learn from there, right? So it's about, you know, like, it's the same when you're riding a bike. I used to say all the time the same question, like, how you learn to ride a bike? By watching videos in YouTube or riding a bike? So I think it's the same thing here. You cannot watch videos all the time about, because if not, you already said it at the beginning. I mean, like, I don't think many companies that are going to have like a second chance. I mean, like, if you are not there right now, you are losing a train. And it's not like in the past that you will have like, okay, you have few years to react, to adapt, to change your product. I think like here, in just in a matter of, you know, like months, if you are not there, you are not part of the story anymore.
And let's take this up a notch. You're absolutely right. And as I mentioned before, it is an arms race, but it's also an arms race on the nation level. So suddenly you need to think, do I want to stop this revolution? Do I want to let another nation beat me in this AI race? And this is where you see different approaches. I'm not saying what's right or not, but you do see them running. You see, you know, in the US, a lot of adoption of AI, but along that, you can say whether, you know, they're pro-regulation or not. Different administrations think different things, but they do care about security for that. They understand that they need to secure that. So run very fast, adapt the regulation, but running fast is key here. But make it secure. And we do see, you know, the nations really investing a lot in AI, really. And we talked briefly, you know, about, you know, OpenAI versus DeepSeek. That's just, you know, a small.
It's very small part. And you know, I used to travel a lot to the UAE, right? Actually, I will be there also into the Saudi actually in a couple of months' time. And it's amazing to see how, you know, like they have this like, hey, we need to be part of the party. I mean, like we don't want to be the guys that we are seeing what's happening around, and they are investing a lot. And it's not just the government; it's the government with the customer, with private companies, building a lot of talent. And if I, like need to evaluate how these countries has made progress within the last 2 or 3 years, it's amazing. I see like huge progress there. And it's because they really believe that this is something that is going to change the world. So I think you have here two different positions. You can just take a look and see what's happening, or be part of, like of this wheel. And I think they're doing really great. The same, you guys, you are like a reference in terms of security. I mean, like, if anyone asks to me, like, hey, you need to ask to these guys. I think that's the same story.
Yeah, definitely. Can't agree more. Yeah.
It's amazing. And I comment, like the example about Chevrolet and Ford a few minutes ago. But I know, like there are others like the one from Air Canada, Disney. So do you think right now all the organizations are ready to embrace this, or which kind of advice you will share to make sure, like, like they're going to be in a good position to take this risk?
So we see so many organizations adopting it. What I will tell them is think about this in phases. So first of all, of course, embrace it and let the business go with it, but understand, who is using, what they're using, maybe for which purposes, understand the use cases that are being built there, and then start, putting the right, mechanisms to understand if something problematic happened, whether it is around, data leak, or it could be things around identity, or manipulation, whatever that is. Start putting, the right guardrails there, but also make sure that you have protective mechanisms, and that you can, block some of these actions, or at least alert on them. So think about this in phases, and each company with its own phase. And along with that, understand, how do you tie this to governance and compliance? How do you do, if you need to, the red teaming? You need to think about it in a holistic way. And I'm happy to see that there are many people within organizations that are involved with that. It's not just security, there are task forces. So it's head of AI and head of data and people from legal and compliance. A lot of people are in there because, it's so hot and it's running so fast. So it is a collaboration. We're starting to see also AI officers, which is really nice to see. So map what you don't know. Work with the relevant advisors that can help you with that. There are quite a lot. It could be us, it could be others. The ones that live and breathe that market, and embrace change. Really embrace change. This is the key.
I listen to you, and at the end of the day, like, okay, technology it's important, but it's just the last thing of the chain, right? So you were talking about people. You are sitting with people from many different teams, and you are trying to assess how the process look like. So even like before implementing any tool, you need to do a lot of previous work to understand how this is working, and which is the right tool, which is the right approach to make sure, like, like this customer or this company is going to use it in the right manner. So I don't think it's a matter of technology. I mean, like, technology is there and it's great. But I think, go ahead.
No, I said it's one part of it. It's a holistic one, and as with any other revolution, it touches a lot of different disciplines, a lot of different aspects. You need to be aware of those, and as I mentioned, embrace that there are unknowns, but make sure that you are asking the right question to figure those out. Because if you'll continue to be blind, that will not help you. So take a flashlight and start pointing in different directions and find what you don't know. That's it.
Absolutely. And right now, man, I mean, like, this is evolving super fast. People there is talking about AGI, ASI, agentic AI. The next level is going to be, actually, robots taking actions in the real world, humanoids, physical AI. There is a lot of, buzzwords there. From your point of view, I think, like, I really admire, because someone like you, because, it's not something that comes new into the world. You've done like so many things so far. You have a lot of experience building companies, seeing the market, how it's evolving. So trying, to remove all the hype from there. How do you see the market? I mean, like, in the next, let's say 5 years, it's a lot, but, if you can make a bet, I will invest for sure on that. But if you can tell me, what do you think it's gonna happen?
So I think it's still a beginning, and it's going to revolutionize so many things that we see. It is going to make some jobs obsolete. So and it has nothing to do with AI, but soon we won't need cab drivers,
Yeah.
and one will say maybe we won't need coders. So it really will need to really evolve and invent the new jobs, and some of them are to work with AI and to assist AI, and suddenly prompt engineering became a job. So I really think that it'll change a lot of different industries. We'll definitely see a lot more automation everywhere, and it's 5 years is a lot. And I think one important thing, and it might worth a different discussion completely. People stay very close to quantum computing, not just around cybersecurity, but around other things, which is going to open a completely new set of capabilities that we never dreamed of. So the future is super exciting, and I'm not a prophet, and I'm not trying to forecast anything, and really stay modest, but it is going to exceed our dreams.
Well, you can, and to be honest, like we can tell me later in private where should I invest my money, and I will follow your advice for sure. I mean, like I've heard like you're kind of a visionary, so I'll do that. But like we're at that point of time that I agree with you. It's super complicated to make like bold predictions. I mean, like right now we see like agents is going to take like a much of our efforts because we see a lot of value there in terms of automation, in terms of like solving problems that they don't provide any value by like solving it with humans. So there is a lot of like a work that we can do there. A lot of jobs, I mean, like they are going to evolve over time. Some of them they are going to disappear. Some others they are going to emerge. And I think it's almost impossible to predict what is going to happen in 5 to 30 years time. I mean, like it's just like a throwing a coin and trying to figure out if it's going to be one or the other. I
Yeah.
think for sure, like agents is going to be super important. But what I do believe, what I'm like 100% sure is like the more we are using this, the more we need to make it reliable and secure.
Yeah,
And like
definitely.
companies like you guys, I think like, well, I mean, like you are going to be probably like a trending topic in the next few years because I mean, like every company needs to have like support like you guys. And do you see like like it's going to be like super exciting time for you, right?
It already is, and it's just accelerating. It's going to be very, very exciting. And I think that in our market, great companies are going to be built, huge companies, and we're definitely after that. So yes, stay close to tracking what we're doing, everyone. We're going to surprise a lot.
Man, has been amazing talking to you. You are
Yes,
like a real
definitely.
cowboy. I hope you can invite me one day there. I will be more than happy to take
Will
a
do.
ride. If not, if you are coming to Spain, I ride already a few times, so I will be more than happy to take you there. But
Would be happy to.
like before closing today, I think for the people who is listening to us, how to be in touch with you guys, how you can support them going forward. I think that would be great to know, Las.
Sure thing. So everyone can reach, out to our site, lasso.security, on the different social channels. Specifically, it's very easy to approach us on LinkedIn, on Twitter. Our email addresses are available there. So anyone that wants to approach us, feel free to leave a message. Sometimes myself, if people would really want to. I'm relatively accessible. A lot of the team members always happy to get into good conversations with people into that space, whether those are people just interested or potential partners, other ecosystem members. We're really looking not just to do business, but really educate the ecosystem on what is happening, what are the risks. Not trying to sell Lasso at all, just get people into this, because a lot of it is feeling comfortable with this space. So again, call out for people, reach out to us, stay in touch. We'd be more than happy to. And Eduardo, again, huge thanks for the time today. It was really a pleasure. And
It
time
was my
flies
pleasure.
by.
It was my pleasure, man. It was my pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Take care a lot. Thanks for today.
Thank you.